Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and tonight I'm going to get right back into politics. Now, it is very important that you listen to me when I present this information. Again, check the sources out for yourselves. Don't even believe me. But you need to understand what's going on with this election. And I'm going to title this video Tyranny versus Liberty. Because now Kamala Harris, she picked her running mate, Tim Walz of Minnesota. Now, some people are calling him I guess, he wants to put some crazy stuff in the men's bathroom. Crazy stuff in the men's bathroom. Women use it. Now, this guy is a flaming radical. And let me tell you something. You have to tie him to the riots back in 2020 that happened in his city. In fact, if you think about it, the capital of Minnesota, which is St. Paul, is on the other side of the river, on the west side of the river. Now, this guy believes in open borders. He believes in transgenderism. He believes in progressivism, socialism. And what he wanted in that bathroom, now I got to say it. Some people call him Tampon Tim. Now, what the hell are you believing that men need tampons? Are you saying that we have periods? Well, we're going to stick it in our ass? Now, the only time an ass might bleed is if you got hemorrhoids. And that's what Preparation H is for, and all kinds of other creams for hemorrhoids. But we don't bleed. 3 to 5 days a month. We weren't made that way. And Kamala Harris, see, she was supposed to pick Josh Shapiro, but Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, and I lived in Pennsylvania, he's Jewish. Now, here is where I have a lot of disrespect for Kamala Harris. She listened to the left wing of her party. You see, she didn't want to pick Shapiro. She was told not to pick Shapiro, and I believe this because Shapiro believes in Israel. And when you look at Tim Walz, he took the flag in Minnesota, made it look like Somalia. Now, again, no politician is perfect. No, Trump has had his problems. And for Trump, I will say this. I know you did not like Brian Kemp of Georgia. Just don't say that. He's a Republican. You got to stick together. If you want to win Georgia, we all know what happened in 2020. The Democrats are going to try to cheat again. I mean, they're doing it now, if you think about it, because if you look at Kamala Harris, the Democrats, they knew Joe Biden wouldn't win. And they also knew that Joe Biden, he had issues. He had issues. But the problem is, when it comes to politics, you have a lot of dumb voters out there. You have voters that are going to vote for somebody because they're a woman, they're black, the symbology. They don't vote on the regular issues. But most of all, you're going to have somebody that's going to vote because they don't like the other guy. But listen, the other guy bought energy because if you look at your energy, your gas prices, when your energy is high, everything else is going to be high because you need to transport the goods to your grocery stores. And what are you going to transport your goods with? Gasoline. And when you utilize gasoline, transportation costs are going to be higher when fuel is higher. And guess what? That cost gets passed on to the consumer. And that's us. And one thing about Americans, we are a consumer nation. Many of us do not invest, many of us do not save money. Your average American wants to spend money. The average American doesn't have a business, especially black people. Yes, I have to get on black people because there are a number of videos out there that have black men saying that if you are a black man and you vote for Trump, you're trash, which is bullshit. You know, they call people who are black that vote for Trump coons when they're the real coons. And the bottom line, a lot of these guys out here, they're mama's boys. They hide behind the woman. They do what the woman tells them to do. I've seen some that say, well, are you intimidated by a woman being president? No, I just don't believe women can be in power because they're too sensitive. Do you think that Kamala Harris can go up against somebody like Putin, Kim Jong Il, these crazy motherfuckers out there? Do you think that she is going to be respected? And let me tell you something. So you women here don't realize how easy you got it. You see, I've been over in some of those countries. And as much mouth as you all have here, you go over to those countries and run your mouth. You're going to be on the floor with a fat lip. And other things are going to happen. They don't play that over there. They don't play that feminism. The bottom line is this. A lot of you don't know about politics. And it's not just blacks. You have a lot of dumb fools out there. Now, I like the boss move that JD Vance did today. JD Vance was in one of the battleground states, and that was Wisconsin. Kamala Harris was there too. Well, Kamala Harris didn't know that JD Vance was coming. Well, he showed up, and all he wanted her to do was answer questions. You see, I'm just going to tell you this. If I'm going to run for any office, I have to answer questions. Now you have this other gentleman, this tampon Tim Walz. He talks about his military service. Now, shout out to him for doing 24 years. He made Sergeant Major, which is E9. I don't care if it's in the Guard, Reserves. I don't care if it's on active duty. I did 17 years in, so I know what military service is. But what he did not do is when his platoon or company went over to Pakistan or Iraq, he didn't go. He decided to retire. And then he talks about J.D. Vance. He didn't know J.D. Vance served in the military, the Marines. And he thinks the guns that J.D. Vance used, like AK-47s, he thinks he wasn't over there with his guns in combat. He was over in Iraq. He didn't know that. And you see, what's happening is the media the media is making Kamala Harris look good because technically she's doing the Biden Biden regime. Actually, she's doing the Biden Biden. She's utilizing what he did. So she thinks she's going to get to the top by not answering questions. I mean, she's in Atlanta talking junk, talking shit. Well, if you got something to say, come say it to my face. Let me tell you something. Kamala Harris couldn't even, she can't even bust a grape. I would rip her in a debate because she doesn't know what's going on out here. I would take that Napoleon dude, that Napoleon Humpty Dumpty, I'd wipe the floor out there with him because he's a yes man. He's Kamala's bitch. And he's out there all in this rah rah shit. Like he's going to do something. But you know what? His state's in shambles. California's in shambles. But see, it looks like this. They ask you the question: do you want to have tyranny or do you want to have freedom? See, what these guys are doing on the left, they're making it look like the individuals on the right, Trump and Vance, they're telling everybody that government is trying to control them. No, you can do what you want to do, but we don't have to engage in believing in the behavior. We're not trying to get in your business. Keep your business behind closed doors and keep children out of what you're doing. And there's nothing wrong with having a family. Families help keep societies growing. You have a number of individuals out here who are constantly having kids and they don't need kids. Now, do I believe that deletion is the answer? No, but all Kamala Harris is going to talk about is deleting babies, is skin color, is being a woman. She has nothing. And if you think about it, how many of you all put money in the stock market or have 401ks? I mean, I know I lost quite a bit of money in my 401k. Now, the economy came back and some of it came back. But the bottom line is, if you think about it, gas is much higher today, groceries are much higher today, rent is too damn high. It is. Shout out to James McMillan back in New York. That song he had out, Rent is Too Damn High. It is. The price of cars, used cars, that's very high. And when I look at the issues, or even the price of college, that's high. And when I look at energy, the left, they don't want fracking. I lived in Pennsylvania. Fracking is big jobs in Pennsylvania and in West Virginia. Yeah, does it have some environmental effects on it? On my QCIS channel, I did a video on fracking. But we need alternative forms of energy and not just electric cars. You see, the reason why a number of these individuals want electric cars because they want us all to pile up in cities so we don't go anywhere. So we live on top of each other with limited resources. That's not freedom. That's living in poverty. That's living somewhere like Poland. That's not America. We don't want to be told by our government how to live. But I don't want somebody else forcing their views on me. But if I force my views on them, I'm the problem. I want a good economy. And I know Kamala Harris talks about equity. First of all, there's really no such thing as equity unless you take something from somebody to give it to somebody who hasn't earned it. And when it comes to something being equal, none of us are ever going to start at the same place, but we can have the same opportunities to get wherever we want to. Some people are very comfortable. And shout out to Minister Jeff, who always says this, because I have a problem too. I'm 59 years old and I'm one of those early Gen Xers. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm glad I went to college with a number of the, some of the millennials. Because what I learned from them, see, when I was in my 20s and 30s and the, 80s and into the 90s, and I was also in my early 30s. This is when technology really started to boom. This is when the internet, Windows 95, Windows 3.1, Lotus 123. I started to learn how to use the technology. And then as I continued to go to school with some of the millennials and some Gen Xers, I got used to using the technology. You see, one thing about these older folks, and I will tell you that, especially your old Black people, most of them are always going to vote Democrat because they never built anything. The men never built anything. The men, they did. The women never built anything. They were happy having a job. In fact, particularly the baby boomers, they're the ones who took all of the pensions. And they never had any, they didn't have any direction themselves but to be workers. That's the problem. Where now you have some of the Gen Xers, some of the millennials. We actually see more than just being an employee. We see the benefits of being an employer. Like when I started quality control inspection services, I asked some of the older heads about a business, and you know what they told me? You don't need business. What do you need a business for? And I believe with the older generation, you have to write them off. And I'm talking about some silent generation people are still living. A lot of your baby boomers are still living. Some of your early Gen Xers are still living. And the early Gen Xers are in my group. I'm gonna say they go all the way down from all the way down between 50 and 59. That corridor right there. Born between 1965 and 1974. Those are the early Gen Xers. Those are the individuals who rode on the coattails of the baby boomers, which the baby boomer generation went from 1945 to 1964, particularly in the Black community, because basically the Black community has nothing, no businesses at all. Now, again, the place that can come close to Black Wall Street would be Atlanta. But with Blacks, the older heads, they're jealous of the younger ones. And when it comes to politics, these are the ones that are voting for Kamala Harris. These older heads. Now, I happen to be an outlier, but I guarantee most of the individuals who are my age, early Gen Xers, and going back to the baby boomers, and they're Black men, they're going to vote right along with the Black woman. They'll vote for Kamala Harris. But then when I ask them, where did you get the idea that Trump was racist? Where did you hear that from? You see, a number of them, they don't utilize technology till you show them. Then they can't stop using it. It's like a brand new toy for them. But most of them grew up with television and they still look at television. This is why they look at the cable news network channels. You see, I'm past all the cable news network channels. So then you look at Kamala Harris again. She had Meg Thee Stallion. So looking at her campaign, a lot of you blacks are going to vote for her, but she thinks we're fools. She says she's not going to do anything for blacks that she's not going to do for other people. And then you look at the immigrants. They get money for being here. I can't get help. These individuals with roly poly, Napoleon here, Tim Walz from Minnesota, he allowed illegals to get licenses. And you have a number of illegals. And when I say, I shouldn't say illegals, individuals that are undocumented. Let me use that term. Scratch the illegal, just for the algorithm's sake, undocumented. They come over here. You don't know what kinds of diseases they have. You don't know basically anything about them. And it's just, see, a lot of people too, when we talk about undocumented, we're always thinking about everybody from Honduras and Mexico. No, you have other ones coming over. But see, when you vote for the left in this country, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get open borders. You're going to get inflation. You're going to get energy dependence on OPEC. The value of the dollar is going to be gone. You know, there are some companies right now in the private sector laying off. Well, you're going to get a bad economy. Now, you remember, we could be in a recession. 2 consecutive quarters when the stock market is taking a hit means we're in a recession. Now, I'm going to say this. There was also some type of bombing that happened earlier over in Israel. You see, the left, you put them in power, we're going to be at war. Now, when you look at the right side, when you look at the Trump bans ticket, I'm not saying they're perfect. They have their issues too. But if you really think about it, I mean, Trump, Vance, they get out there and they talk to regular folks. Kamala and Napoleon, they don't talk to regular folks. Trump and Vance, when they have rallies, they consistently have 30,000 people or more at their rallies. Now, you saw this rally last night in Philadelphia. Kamala and Napoleon Tim, they go to the bigger cities because that's where the population is. And it's all this is driven by the media. And I want you all to just listen to me right now. If you want a good country, do not listen to what the media says. A lot of these guys and gals who work for media, and it is all fake news, they are in the tank for Kamala Harris. They're about symbology, about feminism, because if you really think about it, feminism is the enemy. If you think about men, as I grow up, a lot of these guys are not men anymore. A lot of these guys are in their feelings. They're still sucking on their mom's titty, even in my age, because they're too much into their feelings. They're weak. They want to follow women until the women don't have any use for them. If you don't believe me, I see a lot of them on these panels. Many of them, and many of them don't even know about politics. They think they do. They get their talking points from They're bullshitting professors in college. They listen to the women in their family. See, I don't listen to the women in my family. I don't. And see, I don't have to be around people. And see, here's what you have to do. You almost, as a man, you got to be a lone wolf. You cannot be around people that have no knowledge of what's going on in the real world. That'll be a Sigma man. Now, I'm just going to ask you, do you want energy? Do you want tax cuts? You want to be able to have a business? Do you want gas to be right around 190, 185? Do you want gas powered cars? Or you want electric cars? Because electric car, the battery's expensive. You don't have to charge them up every 15 to 30 minutes. So it's like you're going a long trip with an electric car, it's going to take you all day. Uh, do, do you want this radical environmentalism? Now, there's nothing wrong with the environment, but radical environmentalism, like the Paris Accord. See, the environment is used to cut off development. In fact, at one time, they were going to tear down a Hoover Dam because of a suckerfish. I believe it was the Columbia River. And I'm a civil engineer, and that is a work of art, that Hoover Dam. A lot of hydroelectric power comes from that Hoover Dam. But when you're on the left, and I'm not saying Democrats now, because I guarantee they're Democrats. And for some of you in the Democratic Party, you need to call out your leaders because they alienated you. They want persons that are much further left than you are. Because Republican, and yes, I voted Republican, voted Democrat a long time ago because of my mom. But when I grew up and I had to pay bills, I changed. And see, I don't associate with black people who are still on that plantation. See, you get the black people like the roly-poly Martins out there. They call black men who don't think like them coons, when in essence, they're real coons because all they believe in is going to church, being employed. They talk about white supremacy, but they're employed by white people. And they're too comfortable. See, they're too comfortable that they don't care about anything that's going on because they got theirs and they're going to be dying out soon. I wish a number of them would hurry up and die out because if you think about it, you have some of the older black people, some of these older feminist women out there. They really know what's going on, but they still live back in the 1960s where they're burning their bras and they're running around singing "We Shall Overcome." Now, again, let's go over politics so you'll know how it exactly works. Now, during this election, you have to look at your federal, you have to look at your state, and you have to look at your local government. Because I can tell you right now, look at all your cities run by black people. They're destroyed, crime ridden, welfare state. Chicago, Baltimore, Cleveland, Dallas. That brother that was running that town changed parties. I don't know what he is now. It's probably an independent. But you don't want radicals running your states. You don't want radicals running your country. You don't want radicals running your local government. They'll bankrupt you. In fact, they will pull this. And this is what they're doing with the migrants. They're doing what we call Cloward Pivens. Now, if you don't know who Cloward and Pivens were, There were two professors that taught at Harvard. Now, what they envisioned was for individuals would go down to their city or state offices to the welfare office, get as much welfare to collapse the system. And once they collapse the system, they come up with something different. And what would that something be? Probably the little brother to communism known as socialism. Because when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, believe it or not, you're going to be voting for all of your House members too. See, a lot of people are also focused on the president. No, I don't want Kamala. Yes, I will put it out there. Yes, I want the Trump fans ticket because for men, that's going to be your best ticket. You vote for these women out here, number of women who don't like men, it's going to be even worse for you, particularly in the black community, because some of these sisters, they don't think they are the men. And they're going to make you men look like bitches. Because a number of them are doing it now. Because they're going to think they have all this power. Well, I don't want women in power, period. Because they can't handle power. They're too sensitive. And when they get into power, they will be tyrannical. They don't think right. They're good in a support position, but not when it comes to running the country. You're not going to deal with them crazy motherfuckers like Putin. You're not going to deal with them. Kim Jong-il's. You're not. And generally, a lot of your leaders, they're not even my height at 5'8". They want leaders, most of them are 6 feet tall. It's true. There is height. But again, getting back to everything, you got to vote for your Congress. That means you got to know who your senators are. You also got to vote on your local elections. Or some of you voting for mayoral personnel, city council members, county execs, county councils. It's a lot that you need to know about politics. And some of it is going to happen all on the same day that the presidential election is going on. But a lot of us keep thinking about the president. But a lot of your laws are also dictated by the states you live in as well. People don't know. Like I said, I live here in Indiana. So I'm going to be voting for, Mike Braun, who's the senator. He's running for governor. So we're going to be voting here for another governor because Eric Holcomb, he termed out to 2 terms here in Indiana. So now, Mike Braun, we got to vote for a senator that's going to replace him. Because I already know, see, here in Indiana's a red state. It's been a red state for a long time. See, we don't have as much problems as they do in Illinois and Wisconsin and Minnesota and California. No. And I would not want to live in any blue states. I know, could I work in a blue state like Illinois? I worked in Chicago, but lived in Indiana. Could I go work in Michigan and live in Indiana? Absolutely. But I'm not living in a state with Gretchen Whitmer. No, because I know how that state's run. But all in all, the individuals out there have to look at it this way. Do you want tyranny or do you want liberty? Now, I'm not saying, because I'm cutting it right down the middle here, no candidate is perfect. you got to look at not only what they're talking about, but what they're doing. And you know, Napoleon Tim, he's got a record. I'm gonna tell you what his record is too. He was the guy that let his cities burn down. 2020. Trump offered to give him the National Guard. He didn't want it for a little bit, then he finally took it. But the city is still in shambles. It's a lot more crime in the city, Minneapolis. I mean, Minneapolis was the town of Prince, the time, the family, Sheila E. It's a rocking town at one time. Now, of course, it's always been a Democratic state, but it was different. But you get the people, you look at their vision. You know, Kamala Harris, her record as a DA is not that great. I don't care how you spin it. It's just too much information out about these people. Yeah, you can tell me that Trump said this and Trump said that. Trump was a president. And I did live better under Trump than a lot of the other ones. I did all right under Clinton. Bush was kind of shaky. Didn't care too much for Bush. But somebody like Kamala and that cackling laugh, she's too much of a media darling. And a number of people are going to vote for her because they want to see the first melanated woman in position as president. I don't. She's bad for the country. She's too radical. You know what is funny too? Just watching this video. That broad from St. Louis, Cori Bush, she got ousted. She got primary. She started talking all kinds of shit like I'm coming and everything. No, you out. You're out. You got primaried by another Democrat, part of the squad. Then you get Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez out and all the rest of them out. You see, what I don't want when it comes to politics is I don't want all these radicals in my government. I don't. Whether you're on the left and the right, because that's where the problems are. Most of us who live in this country were in the middle. Now we might have a little slant left and a little slant right, but we're in the middle. We don't want bullshit thrown down our throats all day. And then if we don't believe it, we're some kind of coon, Uncle Tom, or whatever you want to call us. Because one thing about the left in this country, they can't take criticism. And the reason why I don't respect Kamala Harris and old Napoleon Tim, that's right, he looks just like Napoleon. Neither of them will take questions. They will run. Kamala's up there saying Donald Trump is afraid to debate her. No, the media drove that. No, she doesn't want to debate him on a network he wants to go on. Because see, she says, well, we had a debate on the 10th of August. No, excuse me, the 10th of September. No, that was Trump and Biden, not you. In fact, you were basically appointed. You didn't even go through the nomination progress or process at the convention. And that's another question. Are they going to have a Democratic National Convention? Because how can you just anoint somebody to be a nominee? I mean, they could have invoked the 25th Amendment and made her president. They didn't want to do that. Why? You see, politics has a lot of money, a lot of donors. And I will tell you this, it's a little different this time when it comes to politics, because see, they can't scrub everything. Now, Elon Musk bought Twitter, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that interview that Elon Musk was going to have with Trump. And see, that's the thing. Why? We already know why Kamala and Napoleon Tim won't take any types of questions because they will be exposed. And they don't, because we're going to keep putting their records out there. Both of them, they want the border to be open. And the reason why they want the border to be open is because they want to attract more voters for them. That's why they want the border open. Let's just be honest. And the darling media is making them out to be something special when even their own personnel in the media aren't even interviewing them. They're not asking her about her positions, but we already know what her positions are. And again, the way politics works is this. It's a parliamentary style. And what you have to do, you also have to vote, besides the president, on a national level, vote Congress. Because you can put a president in office, like even if Trump gets in. Well, if the Democrats have the House and Senate, Trump's lamed up for at least 2 years until the midterm. And this, got to caution you with Trump, he can't run again because he already ran in 1 term. Even though it's going to be a split term, gets in, can't run again. Be cautious of that. Now, like in Virginia, it only run 1 term as governor. And also in Virginia, the lieutenant governor gets voted in too. Not like in Maryland where the running mate for the governor, like Westmore is the governor of Maryland. Well, he chose a running mate. They're together. But when you look at your politics, ask yourself, are you spending more money today than you did 4 years ago? Are gas prices, where are they? How are your energy prices? Are you able to find groceries? Now, I'm not so much worried about my job as an engineer being taken over by at least the migrants who come in from places like Venezuela, Mexico, but they come over there from India and they can hire them for a cheaper price than me, then I have to worry. And this is why, again, you have to develop your own type of resources, have your own business, put people in office that are business friendly, because my main issues, economy is always first. Can't do anything without money. Economy is always, and I want secure borders. Because you got people who are infiltrating themselves in this country, and they could be planning a terrorist attack in this country. I mean, they still haven't found out what went on during that assassination attempt on President Trump. Still no answers. Yeah, the director stepped down, but there's still no answers. Like I said, I haven't heard Kamala Harris. Now she's trying to flip flop. She hated fracking. Now she's trying to say she likes fracking. Well, she's flip flopping. And she knows she can get away with it. Because all she's doing, she's going around, pressing around like nothing's happening. Because the media is protecting her. The media is driving her. Now, here's what I would do if I was in the Trump campaign, like it or not. Go in there and sit with their media. Tell them what's going on. You see, Trump and something else, Trump needs to get on the campaign trail. Get that black woman out there, Michaela Montgomery, and get Tulsi Gabbard out there. Let them be the attack dogs. They'll eat up on basically Napoleon Tim. They'll eat him up. Get them out there. Talk about the issues. Talk about border security. Talk about police. Talk about tax cuts. Talk about businesses. Talk about the military. Talk about not going to war. Don't get into the subjects of something as a man. I don't care about deleting babies. I'm not a woman. It's not my issue. Stay on the issues. And what Trump's got to do, continue, get out there with the regular folks. Kamala's not with the regular folks. Now, that little rally she had, it sounds good right now. It's going to die down. Why? See, she's dealing with sheep. Those sheep, a vote for her is a vote because individuals hate Trump. Now, individuals are going to vote for her because they hate Trump, but you know what they're going to sacrifice? They're going to sacrifice the economy, the borders, just so they can get her in office because they hate Trump. These are stupid people, folks. And when it comes to politics, particularly African Americans, they're illiterate. They don't even know how the government works. And when it comes to going back, and who wants to go back in an area where it's high crime, really no males, but a bunch of crybaby males who think they're tough, emotional males, mommy made males, who wants to go back and live there? I would. And like I said, with Kamala Harris, I already know what her record is. It's not a good record. But you black men who are criticizing other black men because they're voting for Trump, something's wrong with you. You need your head examined. Now, I'm not making Trump out to be God because there's nobody who is God but God. But I will say this, he's better for the country than Kamala Harris and Napoleon Tim. I mean, Napoleon Tim talking about, again, I can't believe this is a man now talking about children should be able to make their own decisions, whether they want to change sexes or transform into another sex. Children? I mean, you got children today looking at parents as peers, like they're on the same level. Children talk to their parents like they're talking to their girlfriends. Tampons again in a boy's bathroom. See, he's the one that would like trans women or men to beat up on women like you saw in the Olympics. See, Napoleon Tim was a coward. Now I know they talked about J.D. Vance being born. He's a little bit more laid back. But I'll tell you what, he answers questions. Answers questions from the folks. See, the bottom line, when you can't get in with the regular folks, something is wrong. And that's the problem with the Democrats. They're utilizing tech like Facebook. They're using the media. They're even using colleges to get their word out there. And a lot of people believe what they say. You see, let me tell you something. It takes a dummy to shut down your country. It does. Got a lot of dummies who don't know what's going on. They don't even know about government. We got to separate ourselves from them. And like I said, can't be dealing with the feminists, can't be dealing with so many baby boomers, older Gen Xers, and the silent generation. And I'm gonna tell you what else. Can't be dealing with a lot of people who are from the urban areas either. Those are the problematic people. Not everybody, but a number of your liberals they're from your urban and suburban areas. They don't realize, particularly you all in the suburban areas, that crime is out your way as well. But let me get into everything now so I can sum this video up. When it comes to politics, you got to think about it. There are two different visions that I see. One's a socialist view, and one's a view on capitalism. You have to find out what's best for you. And also, there's the culture. Got to look at that. What about the economy? What about the borders? What about education? What about energy? Heck, the Keystone Pipeline would have helped. Drilling would have helped. In fact, energy can bring a lot of prices down. Got a lot of people that don't think like that. So I'm just giving you an option. Do you want to live under tyranny, or do you want to live under liberty? And by the way, also, again, we are not a democracy. We're a republic. We have a constitution. But again, a lot of people don't read it. But we got too many people too who watch too much television. Get off the television. And this is why I'm hoping some of the individuals, and I'm glad Byron Donaldson, he's going on TV. Look, Republicans, you guys want to get your word out there? Start forcing your hand with the media. Get into their space. Give them that smoke, because they're not going to give you that smoke, because they're going to get emotional. Get in that, because I already know that Kamala Harris, she's not going to come to Fox News. She's not going to deal with any of us on YouTube. I know old Napoleon Tim, he's not going to come over here either. He's going to stand behind the screen with people to whom he feels comfortable with, because they agree with him. That's why Kamala Harris can talk all that mess, because she's got a fortress with the media. Do what J.D. Vance did. And maybe Trump needs to sneak up on one of her rallies too. But I know she's not going to do it to his rally. No, she's not. She's not. And for her saying that Trump's afraid to debate her, no, he's not. I'll debate her and win, because I already know what she's about. I already know what her issues are going to be. Her issues are going to be insignificant. And when when you ask somebody about the economy and they start giving you, well, houses are high, the dollar is not what it used to be. You got to look back. I didn't ask you that. I already know that. What can you do about the border? I mean, dumb old Napoleon Tim says, oh, we could probably build a 25-foot wall. We can probably build a 30-foot ladder. They want the migrants to come in. They do. Bottom line is, you have to look at everything from this perspective, though. What kind of government do you want? See, I don't want a government that's going to be a tyrannical government. So if you have all radicals, and radicals on both sides now, because see, on the right, you got fascism on the right. You don't want that either. You basically want common sense, and that is what's missing. I want common sense government, because see, in government, you got to negotiate some things. You got to be able to negotiate with the other side. But I'm not going to negotiate with the other side when they're a bunch of socialists and communists. No, it's not going to work. It's not good for the people. And like I said, when it comes to equal or equality, equality is equal opportunity. Everybody's not going to start from the same starting point. And then there is no such thing as equity because you're never going to get the same result. You got the black people who constantly vote Democrat, vote for the same people, and guess what? They're looking for a different result, and they get the same result. And if Kamala Harris and if Napoleon Tim get in there, 2028, we're talking about the same thing. I remember when blacks were in Chicago and these big cities, and you had bitch ass Van Jones. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go after this nigga when it comes to if the Republicans win this, we're gonna go after. I hope all my fellow YouTubers, we're gonna go after this nigga. He was crying like a bitch last time. And he may be doing the same thing and worse. And I don't have a problem going after the media. Some of these media personnel, Roly Poly Martin. I mean, these guys, they're still on mama's titty. And they're always going to be there. Not a bit of manhood in them. They didn't serve anything. And they don't care about this country. And my question is, you don't care about this country, why are you still here? If you want socialism and communism, go to those countries. They won't go to those countries. Why? Because they can talk about socialism and communism, but they know the effects of socialism and communism. It's easy to evaluate something when you're not in the game, because when you're in a game, somebody's evaluating you. And the bottom line, when you have the left calling the right weird because they want families, but yet I see the debauchery of the left. Who's really weird? Who really doesn't make any sense at all? The left. They make no sense. They will leave you broke. It's no good leadership on the left. Not today. And you have men and women. I didn't say Democrats and Republicans, but it's the people who take the far left extreme views. Now, you don't have too many people who take the far right extreme views. It's a lot of them on the left. And some of them, particularly the older baby boomer ones, they're descendants of their parents from the 60s. And again, if you really want your issues to work in politics, you're not in a lobbyist group, join one. See if you got money. What issue do you have? And is it well organized? That's basically how politics works. Attend some of your town hall meetings. I should attend some of mine. If you're a member of the GOP or the Democratic club, even in your own state, see what they're talking about. Start vetting possible candidates. See what their views are. You know, you got to eat. Look, I'm a Republican. I'm betting other Republicans. If I find out that this Republican is a rhino, I'm not going to endorse him for any type of candidacy. And you got to keep putting out the candidates because the thing about politics comes real fast. Because after this election, can't get too comfortable, whoever's president, because you got the midterm. And basically, it's your Congress people and your senators that make a lot of difference because they're the ones. You got the House that holds the purse strings, and you got the Senate. They're the ones who can basically confirm your appointments, like your Supreme Court justices, like your federal judges, your transportation secretary. It's very important that you vote them as well. People keep thinking about the president. Now, on your state level, you need state houses, your state senate, and your governor. Because you might have a different party in power on a federal level, But what's your state going to look like? That's why you look at California. California is one party, Maryland. Now, Maryland still, it's funny with Maryland, it's a small state, but the money is still good in Maryland, but it's a small state. You look at places like New York, run down, Chicago, run down. And if you live in a city, who's your mayor? Your city council. You live in a county, your county exec, your county council, your school board. See, when it comes to politics, I look at the big picture, just not voting for the individuals at the top of the ticket federally, and also look at your judges. Some of your judges are also elected, can make a big difference with criminal justice. What are they talking about? This is how the system works. A lot of people don't understand how the system works. But if you get people who are very radical, it's not going to work. We don't want radical people because it will be the downfall of this country. And bottom line, get voting records. People don't check individuals out. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to ones that say, oh, well, Trump is racist. How was he racist? Where did you get that from? You be the judge. Don't let others influence you. I'm giving you information based on what I've seen and what I've looked up, but I'm not influenced by what other people tell me. I see it for myself. I'm telling you how the politics works. And if you have a little money and you want to make a donation to a campaign, there's nothing wrong with that. The bottom line is, if you see a candidate that shares your views, that's the one you want. But then when you get them in power, you got to hold them accountable, or you primary them right out. You don't have, if you don't believe me, look at Corey Bush, one of the squad members. There was another guy from New York. I forgot his name. He's out of it. He got primary. And see, that's what Kamala didn't have to go through. Trump went through his primary. Joe Biden would have been a nominee. Question is, where is Joe Biden? We don't know. Bottom line, you really want to get into politics, you need to know how the system works. Most people don't know how the system works. They're too busy watching TV. Get out of the TV, get off the network news. Look at YouTube. A lot of people don't understand. Okay, when you wake up and your 401k is shot, your stocks, well, they're shot after you did a lot of investment. Understand how the market works. The reason why companies aren't going to invest much is because they're looking at who's going to be president, who's going to be better for the market. And I will tell you, Kamala Harris and Roly Poly, Napoleon Tim, they're not good for the economy. They will take more of your money. They want government control of everything. That's what they want. That's totalitarianism. That's not what we live for in America. We want to be able to make a living. You can't make a living being overregulated by government. We already have enough of our privacies taken. So these are the things that you have to look at. And you're going to have a lot of dummies out there. Some of them, you can't tell them anything. They're too stubborn. They're gone. Write them off. Even if it's family members, if you got to lose friends, so be it. Because in the end, you want your life. You live one time. A lot of us, I'm just giving you a rundown on what you need to do when it comes to politics. Many of us, we don't understand how politics works. We're watching too much TV. And when I look at Kamala's side, They look like a bunch of children, not serious about what's going on. They're running around like everything is hunky dory. This is deep shit here. This is serious, but they don't care about it. And see, their object is to get all the dummies to vote for them, and they will. And when it comes to black people, it's basically no hope for them. I've already written them off, especially older Gen Xers, the baby boomers, and the silent generation. Those are your enemies, particularly if you are black. Those are the ones that are going to vote for the plantation. Do not go and ask them about a business because they never built anything. They haven't. They're too comfortable. They want something for nothing. They're always going to be employees because they have the employer mindset, which is a slave mindset. And they love their church. That's what they love. They're too complacent. Got to separate from them. Let them die out. And if you have some Caucasians, you gotta make friends somewhere else. It's because they look like you. In fact, the ones that look like you are going to be the worst for you sometimes. Because they're going to be the ones that are calling you coon. In essence, they're coons. I see the Democratic Party. I mean, you got people like Charlemagne. He didn't check Joe Biden. If you don't know who to vote for, whether it's between me and Trump, you're not black. Telling black people they don't know how to use the internet. He actually took that. He's a coward. Charlemagne's a coward. But he's going to be right on that Democratic platform. Those are your real house niggas right there. They call people like me Uncle Tom's. No, they're the shoe shine boys. Your Boyce Watkins, your Charlemagne's, your Cornell West, and he's running for president. Shoe shine boy. Those are your coons. And any man who was on that Zoom call, white men for Kamala Harris. My white brothers, you don't want to be around them. As a matter of fact, Roly Poly Napoleon Tim, he was also on that call. He's the one that came out with the word weird, but he better understand that it was his cities, with his city that burned down from Antifa and BLM back in 2020. And I believe you also had Jacob Fry in there, who was the mayor. He called on Trump. Trump said he was a good guy. Guys, them protesters were at his house. It's funny because some of those migrants, they were at Kamala Harris's house too. You see, it's kind of funny with you liberals out there, you left wingers, talk all that shit. Well, something happens to you. Then you get with the program. But I'm going to say this before I end everything because I've been pretty long winded. When it comes to politics, you got to vote your interest. You got to know what you're voting for. You got to look at voting records. You got to participate in the process. And it's more than voting. That means you got to put it out there with some content on YouTube so people can understand it. You have to try to be objective. I know we all, even me, I have a little bit of bias because I already know I'm not voting for Kamala Harris and Napoleon Tim. I'm not. I'm voting for the other guy because I believe he's better. Call me a coon, but I'm looking out for my interests when it comes to economy and security. That's what those are my issues. And I just believe Trump is a lot better on those issues than the socialist and communist over here. And I want to keep the majority of my money. I don't want to give my money. We're already giving up enough money so these migrants can live a better life, and they've done nothing. I mean, in his state, Napoleon Tim, they all got driver's license, but a number of them, they got cash, they're getting cash, they're getting EBT cards, they're getting what I can't get. And I have to pay for it. We sent a lot of money to Ukraine. Remember, during this administration, we had individuals, I believe they came from Pakistan or Iran, still over there. So you got to make up your mind. And don't do it based on emotion. Don't do it. Don't vote for somebody based on their, don't, too many blacks are going to use symbology. I didn't care about the first African American elect or appointed to the Supreme Court. I want good judges. Be qualified. Problem with black people, they're voting for symbology. They want the first black person. They're not voting for their wallet because they don't care about this country. They live in this country, but they don't care about it. Why are you here? You like Africa so much, and you go back over there where some of your ancestors were. I'm American. I'm not African. And like I said, you can call me a coon, but the one who's called me a coon, you're the real coon. Because you listen to everybody else and you regurgitate what's said on the media, what you hear other people say. You're the downtrodden, not me. So that's another thing to tell you. Don't listen to a number of these dumb people out here about politics, because many of them don't know. Don't listen to the media. Don't even listen to your family members. Yes, if you have to lose friends, you have to lose friends. Vote on your best interest and do research. Because I know who does research and who doesn't based on all of the comments I've gotten and based off of what I hear. Because in the end, I'm going to ask you this question once and for all. Oh, before I go, you got three branches of government: executive, judicial, and legislative. You're going to appoint up in the Supreme Court their lifetime appointments. But every 2 years, you elect House members. Every 6 years, senators. Every 4 years, presidents. And that works the same way, state and local government. To stay focused and know what you're voting for. Just don't hear somebody out, look at their voting record and see what they're doing. Record tells everything because it's the documentation. It's documentation on what they've done. Like I said, Kamala Harris, she hasn't done anything. But I know as a DA, she's got a poor record. Napoleon Tim, he's got a poor record as well. He was the one that is forever going to be stuck with what happened to Minneapolis back in 2020. That'll never go away. So the bottom line, know what you're voting for. Learn about the candidates. Don't take what they say. Because in the end, the question is, do you want tyranny or do you want liberty? The choice is yours. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some STEM content, check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And once I record all my videos on YouTube, post them up onto my Twitter page. Of course, for the QCIS channel, since it's an educational channel, I'll also post videos from that channel up on my LinkedIn page. And also, I've opened up a Rumble account. I believe this video, I'm going to not just post it to YouTube, I'm also post it to my Rumble account. I got an account on Truth Social, so I'm going to start posting some content out there on those platforms as well. And people like me who are voting for Trump, yes, I told you, voting for Trump have to get our message out there, and we got to be in an area where we can speak freely, because the media is going to try to cut out everything that we're saying. And when it comes to Kamala and Napoleon Tim, they're not going to be asked the tough questions. So we have to expose them with our content. So we have to have the numbers, because they've already gotten the media, they've got the colleges, they got the big donors, they've got everybody right now. So we have to maintain our focus right here on our platforms. And that being said, in the end, always be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. When the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. And again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. Again, that is my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, right here on YouTube. Again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.